Hi, you're watching Hex's TV, and once again Bill from Sapphire's come in and he's going to show us a new family of cards which are supposed to be a bit of a tasty addition to your range, I guess. That's what you'd say, is it?
Well, yes. I mean, basically what we're doing is introducing a new family we're calling the Vapor-X series.
Right, you've had Vapor-X before, though, haven't you?
Yes, Vapor-X was the name we gave to our vapor chamber cooling technology, which
Right.
we first introduced with our atomic and toxic cards over a year ago now.
Okay.
Sapphire's the first company to use vapor chamber cooling in the graphics environment,
Right.
and I think we're still exclusively doing that.
Okay, so not wanting to massively oversimplify it, vapor chamber, it's like a little flat chamber, isn't it? And the liquid sort of like heats up, goes up there and then condenses down around the outside or something like that. Is that
Well,
right?
that's right, basically right, yes. I mean, we did a little video to explain that before. Essentially, the vapor chamber helps us to get the heat away from the core ASIC as quickly as possible.
Right, okay.
So in the earlier cards that were not particularly high-powered, all we needed was a heatsink and fan across the top of that. In the toxic series, which we have now, which are overclock cards, they tend to run a little bit hotter, so we actually have what you might call a hybrid solution with the vapor chamber directly over the ASIC, and then a heat pipe and fan assembly to take the heat away from the rest of the card and the memory and everything else.
Okay, so what's special about these cards then? Because this is your new family, isn't it? These ones here.
Yeah, so basically the Toxic series was very popular not just because it was overclocked, but because the vapor chamber helped us to make a fairly silent solution.
Right.
So the Vapor-X series we're introducing now takes that vapor chamber technology and applies it to cards which are not overclocked, although there is some headroom for overclocking if people want to tune them, but the main focus is on the quiet and efficient operation and high reliability. So this is the 4870 in the Vapor-X series, which for the first time we have 2 gig model as well as a 1 gig model.
Right, okay.
And we also have a 4850.
That's what this one is, yeah?
Which is that one. Slightly shorter card because the layout's simpler. 512 of DDR3 memory on that one.
Show the cameras. Yeah, it is actually. Yeah, well, you don't get the sexy sapphire heatsink thing. What is this on the back here? Because I was looking at these a little bit closer earlier on, and there's this little ceramic thingy here. Okay,
so what you're showing there is our new sapphire design choke. It's a patent pending choke with a heatsink on it, which we're calling Diamond Black.
Right.
What that basically does is part of the power control circuitry, and because of the heatsink that we've built on there, it runs about 10 degrees cooler than a regular choke, and therefore is much more efficient in operation.
Right, okay, and so do you get those on this big boy here as well?
Yeah, there's actually a number of them in here, but you can't see it so well because of
the
right,
yeah, I can see them tucked down the back there, yeah, and we'll never get the camera in there to see those.
Okay, so the other thing we're doing on both of these cards is we're using what are called solid capacitors, which again is for an increased reliability and long-term life.
So I have actually done a little bit of reading up on these before you came in today, Bill, and I understand unusually you actually make all of your own PCBs, is that right?
It's more to do with the design. A lot of our special editions, so the Toxics in the past and some of the mainstream editions as well, we actually effectively re-engineer the layout so that we design the PCB to suit which market segment it's aimed at.
Okay.
So we might do a kind of cost-down version for the mainstream on some of the mainstream cards, or we might be looking to increase performance on the high-end for our Toxic and Atomic products.
Right, okay.
So we would actually do different PCB layouts, although, you know, and then we assemble them to suit.
I see. So do you actually ever produce a card which you just base on a reference PCB, or is it always sort of like your own stuff?
It tends to be the case that we use the reference design initially when something is new to market, and then we spin out different editions from that. Right,
I see. Okay. Right, now I'm looking around the back of the card here. I think that one's the same, isn't it? Yeah. So you've got the VGA, and I'm glad to see you've taken my advice at last and you've got rid of that S-video.
Well, as you know, in the cards we looked at last time, we're going at the moment for the combination of a DVI, HDMI and VGA connector on the card, which gives the most flexibility for connectivity that people want to use. So you can use, obviously, any pair of these, so you can have a monitor and a TV connected at the same time, and it gives the best flexibility we've found.
Okay.
And, of course, the HDMI is also relaying the audio over the output as well, so you can connect direct to something like a TV if you're playing games on your big screen, and you get the video and audio together over the HDMI cable.
Oh, okay, so I'm glad you mentioned games there, because obviously the performance of these aren't factory overclocked. So what would be the point of buying one of these versus a Toxic?
The Toxic is aimed specifically at the enthusiast who wants something that's pre-overclocked.
Yeah.
And there was obviously a bit of a cost premium because we're overclocking it. We're putting faster memory and some other special components on there to support that.
Right.
So this card
Go
is
faster capacitors or something.
well, it's go faster memory more, really,
Right,
and
okay.
that's a bit of a cost premium for that, and some of the other components associated to support that.
Right.
This family is very firmly aimed at shipping with standard clocks for the series of cars, so 4870, 4850 standard clocks. But obviously, as we put this vapor chamber cooler on it, there is some headroom for overclocking if people want to do that. But the main emphasis is on the quietness, efficiency and high reliability.
Right, okay, so it's not all about speed and power on these, it's about longevity and giving you the performance that you get from the standard chip. Is that basically
Well,
it?
yes. I mean, we find that people are quite dependent on their graphics cards in some applications these days.
I think basically to see anything on a screen, you're dependent on your graphics card.
Yeah, but I'm looking in terms of people who are doing sort of quite critical applications. They're looking for high reliability, or if they're doing big rendering tasks or so on, they don't want the card to be what lets them down in a big task like that.
I see. And why put 2 GB on that board? I don't understand that.
Well, again, we have the situation where people who are doing some large rendering tasks are beginning to run out of frame buffer.
Right.
And also, in today's games, have a lot of textures involved with them. So if you're playing on a large screen and you turn on a lot of the features, or if you're doing a rendering task where you need the extra frame buffer, this card's going to be the one to choose.
Okay, so are you saying that we can play the last episode of Crisis, like a decent resolution, not have it turned into a slideshow because you've got all the texture held in the memory here?
Well, you have to check out the Hexus review and find out.
Oh, that's a get-out clause, that is, isn't it? Right, okay. Right, yeah, so when are these coming to the market?
Well, we're launching them right now, and they should be shipping over the coming weeks.
Okay, rough idea on price?
Very slight premium over a regular card,
right.
But obviously, as we've discussed, positioned to be a lower cost than the Toxic Special Editions.
Okay, so you've got standard, then the Vapor-X, and then the Toxics up the top.
Yeah,
there.
exactly.
Okay, and you could possibly overclock these a bit.
Oh, well, yeah, there's always some headroom for overclocking.
Right.
We basically build for the most reliable specs.
Okay, yeah, because I'm just thinking a lot of people who sort of like be buying on value in this day and age. Okay, so is there anything else to sort of like tell us about these, or is that it?
That's pretty much it about the cards themselves,
right.
Although we have taken some steps with our packaging now.
Okay. You're going to go all eco-friendly on me now, aren't you?
Well, yes, we are.
Right.
I think we hinted before that we were looking at using recyclable paper pulp packaging.
Right, okay.
And this is the first generation of cards which will ship in mass production with this. It retains the card just as well during transit, but of course is completely recyclable. And these are obviously the usual accessories you get. There's space for those in the box.
I mean, much as I sit there and sort of like berate the whole green movement and everything, I have to say that charging the because ultimately you're going to charge a customer extra for sort of like a flash box or something like that, and all they're going to do is take the card out of it, put the box on the shelf, and use the card, aren't they? So it's nice to see this sort of thing happening now, to be honest.
Well, I think the cost to us is not very different from if we use a plastic moulding for that.
Yeah.
But of course, the end result is completely recyclable.
Yeah. Yeah. So obviously, eventually this might end up as Andrex or something like that.
You never know.
so, what you could infer from that, I'm going to leave you to make up your own minds. Check out soon on Hexus TV for more from Bill from Sapphire.